Can you hear me? Listening? No?
Hello.
No sound? Okay. Okay. Very glad to see you, Samila. And we have two steps this interview. So we you need have some things to do. The first is report about your PPT. Second, answer question. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you
Share
can
PPT.
Okay, sir. I am sharing.
share your PPT.
Yes.
Sorry
Oh,
for
okay, okay, no
inconvenience.
problem.
Okay.
You can start.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, professors. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the chance for interview. Okay. So beginning with my introduction, I am Shumaila Syal and I belong to country Pakistan, and I am keenly interested to apply in PhD and plant sciences. So this is my educational background. I have done my undergraduate studies in 2016 to 2019 by securing 3.31 out of 4 CGPA. And in my last year of my bachelor's study, I carried out a research study to study some yield contributing traits and rust diseases of wheat. After that, in 2020, I got admission in MPhil studies, and I got my result, and I have completed my MPhil by securing 3.75 CGPA out of 4 CGPA. So I have carried out my research thesis on effect of heat stress on some agromorphological traits of wheat genotypes. So my educational background, my MS and my BS, I have carried out my research and my studies in Institute of Plant Sciences from University of St. Jamshoro. So here you can see the title of my MPhil studies, and it is clearly saying that effect of heat stress on some morphological traits of wheat genotypes. So beginning with the introduction of my MPhil. May I go ahead?
Yes, yes. Okay, okay.
Okay. This is the introduction of my MPhil studies. So heat stress significantly reduces wheat productivity, especially when it occurs during grain filling and flowering period. So changing in sowing date is a practical strategy to help crops to tolerate the heat stress. So I have carried out my research in three heat sowing stages, like early sowing stage, normal sowing stage, and late sowing stage. To evaluate how early normal and late sowing dates affect the key agronomic and yield traits in 20 wheat genotypes. My goal of this study is to identify the traits that indicate heat tolerance and can guide the development of new resilient varieties. Because as you can know that Pakistan is highly vulnerable to high and drastic temperatures, and nowadays drastic temperature is observed around the globally. So my objective, main objective and main strategy to conduct this research thesis is to introduce such wheat variety which can be highly tolerable to high heat stress condition. And now it is the importance of wheat. So wheat is a major staple food crop globally, including Pakistan, because it provides 60% of staple food and 30% of our total food calories. And wheat is spread from west to east Asia around 6000 BC, and it contributes 12.7 percentage to agriculture value added and 2.6 percentage to GDP. Area and production wise, the total area occupied by wheat is 9.18 percentage, 9.18 million hectares, and its total production is 28.1 million tons, and it produces an average yield of 2,835 kilogram per hectare. So it is so its water requirement is Wheat requires consistent water availability throughout its growth cycle. Critical stages such as germination, flowering, grain filling period are highly sensitive to water stress. And it is a very major issue being observed in our country. So impact of climate change is altering rainfall patterns and increasing temperature extremes. Frequent droughts and heat waves disrupt wheat growth and reduce yield potential. As my topic of wheat of my MPhil research highly focuses upon heat stress condition. Heat stress in wheat. High temperature, especially during reproductive stages like anthesis and grain filling period, it can cause terminal heat stress. Like it can cause terminal heat stress to reduce the productivity and yield of wheat. Heat stress accelerates plant senescence, reduces grain number and weight, and shortens the grain filling period. Need for climate resilient solutions. So my thesis, research thesis, for highly focused upon the need how to tolerate or how to overcome high heat stress over the wheat genotypes. So for that I have conducted my research thesis to develop heat and drought tolerant wheat varieties is critical. Adaptive practices such as optimized sowing dates and water management are essential for sustaining production. And these are the main objectives of my MPhil research thesis. And the objectives of my main MPhil research thesis to evaluate performance of new evolved wheat genotypes under various heat stress environments. Because in my MPhil studies, I have carried out 20 wheat genotypes in which 18 were local Czech varieties and two of the varieties were the commercial ones. So my main objective to evaluate the newly evolved wheat varieties so as to enhance the productivity of wheat in relation with high heat stress condition. And the second one objective is to determine the effect of heat stress on yield and yield associated traits, to determine effect of varying planting times on yield and its associated traits of new wheat genotypes. So for that, I have cultivated the 20 wheat genotypes in 3 different planting times. The one is early, the second one is late, and the third one is normal. Second one is normal and third one is late. And the fourth one objective is to select high yielding wheat genotypes possessing tolerance to stresses. So the main focused objective is to select those wheat varieties which have the high tolerance potential as compared to high heat stress conditions. So the materials and methods I have used in my MPhil research are mentioning here. So I have conducted my MPhil research in the experimental site of Nuclear Institute of Agriculture, NIA, Tandojam. And the experimental design was in randomized complete block design RCBD with 3 replications in which I have carried out 20 wheat genotypes in which 18 were the advanced line and 2 were the local Czech varieties which have been growing in Sindh province. And these are the commercial wheat varieties which are being grown in Sindh province. And the treatments in which I have cultivated these 20 wheat genotypes, there were 3 treatments. Number 1 is treatment 1, which is also known as early sowing condition, and it started in 6 November 2020. And the second one is normal sowing, which is the perfect and identical temperature for wheat genotypes, for the cultivation of wheat genotypes, and it is started from 26th of November 2020. And the third one is late sowing condition, which was started in 15th December 2020. And I have mentioned 20 days duration in between them, 20 days interval in between them, just to identify the relation of heat stress, the relation of environmental constraints related to which are affecting directly upon the traits, the morphological traits of wheat, like which are the like the heat stress is directly affecting which morphological traits, like whether they are shortening the height of wheat or whether they are affecting the grain size or whether they are affecting the grain number of grains. So this is my main treatments and my main motivation to conclude the 20 wheat genotypes into 3 sowing condition is my main objective. Material methods slide is continued. So the data collection and analyzing tools. I have used various softwares just to analyze and just to collect my research. And the softwares I used are mentioned here. The first one of the software is Statistics 8.1, and it is used for data analysis. I have analyzed all my data using this software, and it also include ANOVA and DMRT, Duncan's multiple range test. And the second one is Microsoft Excel. For the data collection and organization, I have arranged a custom spreadsheets were created to record and manage data effectively on by using MS Excel. And the third one is SPSS. It is used to generate graphs and figures presented in the thesis. In my research, there are various graphs and various figures are presented just to give the accuracy. For this purpose, I have used SPSS. And then there is Mendeley. It is used for the reference management and the reference criteria. And then I use EndNote software. It is used for reviewing literature, to quote literature and to quote references. And the last one is Turnitin, just to check the plagiarism in my thesis, and just to show the accuracy, how relevant my thesis is, how relevant it is written. And the material and methods slide is continued again. And the morphological parameters which I have studied in my MPhil thesis are plant height, spike length, number of nodes per tiller, number of spikelets per spike, number of internodes per tiller, peduncle length, number of grains per spike, grain weight per spike. So meteorological data was recorded by using an apparatus. I recorded my data on daily basis, and I recorded my data, both minimum data and both maximum temperature was recorded on daily basis by using an apparatus, and its name is known as thermohygrograph, which has been planted at experimental site of Nuclear Institute of Agriculture. As I have mentioned before, that I have conducted my research over there. Then there is a data average. So weekly and monthly averages, value ranges like minimum and maximum temperatures were recorded by using this device, hygrothermograph. These are my results of my MPhil research. So this is the meteorological data, temperature data collection, daily minimum and maximum temperatures recorded from sowing to maturity using a thermohygrograph at the experimental site in Tandojam. So as I have mentioned before, I have recorded daily maximum and minimum temperature by using thermograph, hygrothermograph, then temperature effects at various growth stages. So as I have mentioned before, I have sown the wheat genotypes in 3 different sowing conditions. So they have the different various temperature stages. So what's the effect over the wheat genotypes? So temperature stress recorded at key wheat growth stages like seedling, tillering, rooting, heading, pre-anthesis, post-anthesis, grain filling, dough, and maturity. So these are the earliest 2 maturity stages, and from early to maturing stage, heat stress affects wheat genotypes. Optimum temperature. So the most suitable and optimum temperature for wheat genotype, which I observed, is the optimum temperature for wheat growth was recorded during the sowing phase. High temperature stage during grain development, temperature exceeds 30 degrees Celsius were observed during grain development phase. Milky to dough stage, negatively impacting grain size and weight, leading to a reduction in final yield. So the high temperature stress leads to drastically reduce the final yield of wheat genotypes. And the last point is terminal heat stress. The highest terminal heat stress was observed, like it was greater than 38 degrees Celsius was recorded during the dough stage, which is the main stage, but it faced a temperature of more than 38 degrees Celsius, which was a very drastic condition for wheat. So this is the graph, and this graph, you can clearly see that blue one line shows the weekly data, and the red one line is showing the minimum data, which I have recorded on daily basis, and the green line is representing the maximum data. And this data I recorded on daily basis by the help of apparatus known as hygrothermograph. So it is my meteorological data result. So as you can see, in it is as I mentioned, it started in the first early sowing condition. It started in November. So the temperature uh, uh, fluctuated from 0 to 5, but the daily minimum and maximum temperature, as you can see, are there are a sharp rise in these temperatures, sharp lows. There are some lows and there are some rise and the temperature, and as you can see, the there are some average uh, result are also been observed during the month of January to February, and the result sheet is continued. The result indicated that early planting sowing date 1 generally resulted in superior performances across most parameters. Like sowing date 1 is giving a more suitable parameters to us, like in plant height, number of nodes, internodes, peduncle length, number of grains per spike, grain weight per spike, biological weight, grain yield per plot, 1,000 grain weight, days to maturity, and harvest index were all highest under early planting. Normal planting, which was sowing date 2, also known as, showed moderate values for most parameters, while late planting, sowing date 3, resulted in the lowest value for the key yield traits, because the wheat genotypes were highly vulnerable due to high heat stress conditions, and therefore they didn't produce and suitable parameters. Interestingly, spike length was slightly higher under late planting, though the differences was minimal. So this is the plus point of the late sowing condition, because in the late sowing condition, spike length was slightly higher than the both previous ones. Days to heading and maturity decreased with late sowing. In summary, early sowing significantly enhances growth and yield parameters, making it the most favorable sowing time for maximizing productivity. So it can be clearly shown that early sowing, the wheat genotypes which were sown in early sowing conditions gave the best yield parameters, like they are, and it can found that it is the most favorable and suitable time for maximizing the productivity and yield of wheat. So this is also the result of my yield parameters, which I have studied in my MPhil research, and these are plant height. So there are 3 different columns which are showing early planting, normal planting, and late planting. So this is their productivity and significant differences. Result continued, and this is also my graph from my MPhil thesis and MPhil research. This is the conclusion slide. The significant genetic variability was observed among braid beet genotypes. So the genetic variability which was observed among the braid beet genotypes was due to their different sowing conditions, like the genotypes which were sown in early sowing conditions have gave the best parameters to study. The newly evolved and advanced bred wheat genotypes showed potential to produce high grain yield than the Czech varieties. Effects of high temperature stress prevailed during terminal and resulted into the significant decrease in various yield contributing traits, particularly in late sowing conditions. So in my study, as I have mentioned before, that my main objective is to select the climate smart wheat variety, which has the high potential to produce its yield in the high stress conditions. So after conducting my research, I have also observed few new varieties among some of the new varieties which are highly tolerant to high stress conditions, and they performed very well. Some new genotypes showed improvement in grain yield, as I have mentioned right now, biological yield, and 1,000 grain weight at late sowing conditions when compared with local Czech varieties, hence could be more tolerant to heat stress. So as I have a comparison between the new varieties and local Czech varieties, so the local Czech varieties have the low tolerance to high heat stress conditions. So on the contrary, the local Czech, the new evolved wheat varieties have shown a better performance in late sowing conditions, in their grain yield, in their biological yield, and in their 1,000 grain weight. So they could be used in future studies or future in our future for our country's betterment and for the wheat productivity. The information generated will be helpful in selection of better genotypes endowed with high grain yield and tolerance of too high temperature stress. And this is my motivation for PhD studies. Like after I have completed my master's studies or MPhil studies, pursuing doctoral studies is my cherished goal. So my study plan is to continue a doctoral studies in plant sciences. In this case, I have chosen Shanxi International Agricultural University, China, to study over there. And my proposed research to study plant science research and develop resilient crop varieties. My aim is to study to study those climatic smart varieties which have the high tolerance against high temperature and using various biochemistry and biotechnological strategies. So why my interest towards Shanxi University? Because it is one of the highly reputed university and it has world-class education and state-of-the-art facilities, and due to its conducive research environment and multicultural environment, because I am a person who wants to meet with diverse backgrounds and diverse cultures. So therefore, I would like to study over China in Shanxi Agriculture University because it highly meets with my requirements and with my previous educational background. And this is my future research goal. And my career objective is to obtain a doctoral degree in plant sciences, to undertake research in plant physiology, biotechnology, life sciences, and to continue further research as a postdoctorate at a reputable research institute. So these are my future goals. Long-term research goals are to become a qualified. I want to become myself a qualified and well-equipped plant scientist or researcher, and I would like in myself to return to my underdeveloped country Pakistan and to serve my country Pakistan, because Pakistan being an agricultural country, but it lacks such expertise which will contribute in our country. So therefore, it is my major objective to devote my services for improving the crop-based research and bring a significant advancement in plant sciences research in my country. So these are my future research goals. Thank you very much for your attention and for my PPT.
Good job.
简单点回答一下问题，简洁一点。
哎，好了，OK，
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Shamila,
Yes,
do
ma'am.
you? Yeah. As we all know, wheat is the second largest crop all over the world. You know?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it is useful for you engage in the research of this group, especially in focus to heat stress, yield and yield associated traits, evaluating different genotype, different yield, different treatment, such as early, normal, or late sowing, different yield, include plant height, spike length, grain weight, etc. So there are many questions for you. Please answer one by one. Yeah, you can answer this question briefly. Go on. 曹老师可以了吗？
可以。
OK. You can start.
You give answer, yes.
You have give the
Yes,
answer?
I have given you the question. I have given you a question, you remember?
Yes, sir. I remember.
Yes.
Okay.
I-
Starting with the
one
first
by
question. May I start with
I
the
did
first
first.
question?
This one question?
One by one,
Oh, okay.
answer the question.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
Okay. As I have mentioned in my PPT that I have carried out my MPhil research on which focused upon the agromorphological traits of wheat. So I have studied the morphological traits and agronomical traits. So these are the parameters which I have studied are plant height, number of tillers per plant, spike length, spikelets per plant, and 1000 grain weight. but didn't carried out research on physiological traits, but I have left this part for my future purpose. So whenever I got the chance for my PhD studies, I would like to carry out my research on the to study physiological parameters and to study molecular parameters for the productivity of wheat in relation with the high stress conditions. So this is the answer of my first question.
Second, this is the first question.
The first question is
There are
Second
many.
question. I ask you a question. If you pursue a doctoral degree, which aspect of research would you like to conduct?
okay. If I would given a chance of to pursue a PhD degree at your university, I would like to conduct a research to study physiological and genetic mechanism related to heat stress tolerance and wheat genotypes, or any other topic suggested by my supervisor, or or another topic which is in my mind to study in my future purpose is the impact of heat stress on grain quality traits and post-harvest processing potential. But I am keenly interested to study the topic which will be assigned to me by my professor or my supervisor.
Okay, next question you have. I would like to know how the heat stress or the setting of temperature is carried out when you conducted the influence of heat stress on the agronomic traits of wheat.
Okay, Professor. Well, we have examined in my MPhil research that that heat stress effects on wheat genotypes through exposing the germplasm by varying sowing dates, like early, normal, and late sowings. The main objectives of my thesis is to determine the effects of heat stress on various growth stage, like early to maturity stage. So for that purpose, I used apparatus hygrothermograph to record the temperature data on daily basis. Both minimum and both maximum temperatures were recorded.
How was the influence of the different sowing dates on various parameters mixed on wheat genotypes calculated in the experiment?
In our findings, drastic effects of heat temperature stresses were recorded on yield associated traits like reduction in plant height, peduncle length, seed size, number of grains per spike, 1,000 grain weight, and final yield of the experimented planted in the late sowing conditions. So the main strategy and main objective of my thesis is to select early maturing genotypes which matured few days earlier in with contrary to the normal wheat sowing conditions. So for that, I collected those wheat genotypes which have the high potential in high stress conditions, showing less reduction in growth traits like seed size, plant height, grain filling period, final yield. This is the answer of this question.
Next question I have is in the experiment design, why is 20-day interval was chosen for stage sowing?
Okay, I have chosen the 20-day interval between the three different sowing stages to expose the wheat genotypes to various diversified environments using different sowing dates as one of the robust techniques which is being used in plant breeding and plant physiology. So in this way, we can evaluate germplasm at various climatic conditions during various growth stages from early tillering stage, pre-anthesis, like post-anthesis, dough stage, and grain filling stage. So after each 20 days, there is a variation in temperatures. Therefore, we have selected the 20 days interval between each sowing condition or each sowing date.
And the last question you have, in the result of the meteorological data, only the collection and the recording of meteorological data are mentioned. How does the meteorological data affect various traits, and what mathematical relations exist between them?
Okay, as we all know, weather, temperature, and humidity is playing a vital role in the performance of genotypes during various growth stages of plants. So, data on various yield-associated traits and meteorological data were recorded and interpreted accordingly. the experiment grown during normal season was less affected, as I have mentioned in my PPT, and it give us the reduction in the plant height, pedicle length, spike length, grain size, and final yield and other traits. This reduction in these traits could be attributed to high temperature stress prevailed during grain filling period in the less sown trials.
Thank you.
Thank you.
曹老师，
哎，
你看还要说什么？